Hello and welcome. I am Scrapperlock, and this is City of Heroes soloing the Stalker. We're level 32. We're doing +1 missions, and we've got our character to level 32, close to 33. We're doing corporate culture for our friend Philippa Moreau. But I also wanted to point out, because we checked this, um, Matthew Pena actually made a comment in episode 11 that just went live yesterday or today, and I wanted to mention it. Uh, there was some spot in that mission where I was having trouble finding stuff, and he said, use the reveal power. It clears the fog of war on maps. I don't know if I feel like I knew about this power and I've completely forgotten about it. So if we get into a situation where we can't find things, we'll try the reveal power and see if it helps out. Maybe I've been struggling for nothing. It costs 10,000 influence, which is trivial given that we have millions. And you can use it once, I think, every 5 minutes. So, like once per mission, which is, all you should need. So I may try it at the beginning of this next mission just so we can see what it does, and then we'll just only use it if we need it, right? If we can't find something. So thank you for that very useful comment. I'd forgotten all about that. I tend to pay very little attention other than the Nemesis staff, which is a good ranged utility power. Heck, I'm still using it in the 30s because I don't have any range on this character, and sometimes with the runners, you just have to. Um, Also, it can be used to pull, although the Nemesis staff is terrible for pulling because it does a knockback and they go flying backwards. And then they have to run up to you. Um, but, my other characters, like Scrappers and Brutes, I would use a taunt to pull. Especially Scrappers, the single target taunts. Gray Protectors are a pain in the... Let's try Reveal and see what happens. Oh, this shows the whole map. Okay. It doesn't show the enemies on the map, but it does show the whole map. Now, probably not going to use it that much unless I can't find something, because once you reveal a map, now I don't know where I've been, right? So that could make it problematic. These protectors are very annoying. So what we're going to try to do here. Also, I've gotten some feedback, by the way, on the zoom in. It's about split of the 3 or 4 people who've answered that whether they like it or not. It seems like it's the general consensus is do whatever you want. I'll zoom in. I think it does help with the camera movement. There's not as much of this kind of thing, right? Which I guess could make you a little bit nauseated if you're, getting some vertigo or something from it. These guys are a pain. These are +1s. The disorient might be helpful. I think what we're going to need to do ultimately is to have double accuracies on this to make sure that it triggers. I'm not probably going to do it this level. I really want to get build up going. I want to finish Smite, and I also want to get another recharge enhancer and start pushing this out to 6 slots on Energize. So we have a lot to do. My guess is I'm going to do probably one here, and one here, I think. Maybe one here. I don't know. We'll see. I have to make up my mind very quickly. But we're going to try to take this guy out as fast as we can. What I'm going to do is placate him early. Right? With the hope that he won't. He did it anyway. I was hoping he wouldn't use that stupid shield if he was placated. But it turns out that he did anyway. And I missed him on a 68% chance. One hit, one miss. Now 57% chance. Wow, doing a lot of damage. Who's doing all that damage to me? Is it the Protector? Missed again. Of course, on the big hits, I miss. Let's try disorienting. Yeah, still deflecting it all. And he's doing a lot of damage to me, and I just have to kind of stand there and take it because you can't hit him. So those guys are going to be really tough. So one of the things we definitely want to try to do as we move forward, so maybe I should I don't want to modify the plan just for fighting Cray, right? Because it's just those guys. But But I think for the debuffing, we need to probably get extra accuracy on this to bump it up, extra accuracy on this so that we can self-heal with more reliability, and extra accuracy on this one so that we have a couple of attacks that are able to do more, that are more likely to hit, and that will help us against these, against those guys. Only the crate protectors, right? The cryo tanks, none of that matters. It's just the protectors because of the shield. And maybe, you know, as I think about it now, maybe what I should do is adopt my Paragon Protector strategy, right? With the Paragon Protectors, once they turn on their buff, I just walk away. Maybe I need to do that with the Crate Protectors too, right? Just same thing. If he puts on his shield, same thing. I mean, I do the same thing with Nemesis. When they put the shield on, they don't floor you, but it acts like you're floored. You almost never hit at all. And so maybe what I need to do when they do that is just walk away and go fight somebody else, go to a different part of the base, and then come back when they turn it off. Because they'll eventually turn it off, just like the Paragon Protectors eventually turn off their a moment of glory. Oh, we aggroed a different mob over here. That's alright. Different spawn. That's fine. This kind of thing is no problem, right? Like, they can't really do anything to me. But it's the crate protectors that are really an issue. So, I think what we may do is do as much damage as we can to them. We want to chew their hit points down as much as possible because they will eventually heal. And then once they throw that on, turn to the other guy, beat him up, and then run away. These guys... Oh, so they're bosses too. That's the other problem. So these guys... I think... What was I going to say about them now? So these guys, in addition to... What I was going to say, if they're lieutenants, but I guess they're bosses, so that's the problem. He didn't turn it on, so we're good. I think with the lieutenant version of these guys, because I think there is one just like there is with the Paragon Protectors, Touch of Fear is also going to be recommended here because when he's afraid, he won't be able to turn it on. If he's already got it turned on and he becomes afraid, that won't help. It'll stay on. But if I can assassinate and then put Touch of Fear on him, he might not do it. I'm going to have to experiment. But I think mentally, I always ignored the Crate Protectors as a separate entity, but I think I should think of them like Paragon Protectors. The constant missing is a pain. So we'll have to just... So this is the thing, and this is why I don't like to just plan a character way ahead of time. You kind of have to see how it performs against the individual different mobs. Right? Until we came up against these guys that made it so that I had to stand there forever and attack them, right, in order to do damage because I couldn't hit. I really didn't have any. I really wasn't thinking about adding extra accuracy to this character or even worrying too much about this disrupt. I was just going to take it and leave it bare one slot, right? But now that we're seeing the issue of not being able to hit these guys, right? Now I'm starting to think about, okay, maybe we should do something different. And that's why I like to make sure I see how the character performs and don't try to plan out the slotting and everything too far in advance. The other thing is, too, one of the reasons I like keeping SOs early on is because if I decide, for instance, that I want another accuracy on here instead of this, right? Or like, say this thing. Right now we got 2 permanent enhancements on here and 4 temporary. If I decide I want to get rid of the recharge and replace it with an accuracy, I can do that just when this expires, right? But if I had a level 35 IO on here, now I'm wasting what could have been a permanent enhancement, right? And ripping it out and deleting it. Or else burning 100,000 influence on an enhancement converter. Right? I don't feel like that's a good use of influence. So that's why I slowly replace these things. Because you can end up changing your mind and wanting to rearrange the way you're doing your enhancements. And if it's just SOs, well, they're going to expire anyway. So once they do, you can just rip them. Once they turn yellow or whatever, you just rip them out. But if it's an invention, if it's worse, if it's a set, and then you're like, I don't like this set, yeah, that can be pretty frustrating as somebody who's spent all this time building the character and then realizing I got to redo it. Now, I do want to point out, when you go to the trainer, it is possible to tell the trainer that you want to create a different build. I believe. I never do this. And you can basically start, like, do the whole character over again and have different slotting. And you can have different builds, right? And I think the reason people use this is, like, PvP versus PvE builds and that kind of thing. Right? So you might, like, I need healing for PvP, but I don't need it in PvE or something like that. We're level 33 now, so we'll be doing those slots very shortly. So yeah, a lot of what works for you as a build is going to depend on what works for you as a player, right? How you're approaching the game. Remember, too, that some of our accuracy issues are happening because we're fighting +2 guys, and the reason we're fighting +2 guys is because we're on a +1 mission, right? And if I had the mission arranged differently, oh, that reveal did every level in the base. That's interesting. If I had that mission, if I had the mission set differently so that we were mostly fighting whites, then, well, you don't need as much accuracy when you're fighting whites, right? But when you're fighting reds and oranges all the time, you need more accuracy buff, right? Because you have a reduced chance to hit. So against white cons, we're capped. We're at 95% against all of them, right? But when we start getting into, like, the purples and the reds, we're down to like 65%, right? So that's going to change how you slot. And how you play is going to partly be dependent on... So you partly have to slot based on how you play, and you partly have to play based on how you slotted, right? You see what I mean? Because how I want to play is going to affect how I decide to slot my powers, but then how I've slotted my powers is going to determine my ability to play in different play styles. We didn't go get the room down the bottom. Okay, so I don't like the reveal at the beginning, right? Doing it at the end works, I think, because then I know where I've been and then hit reveal to see if I missed something. But I don't want to... I mean, I did it as an experiment just to see how it worked, and I thought it would only work on one level. So, but I definitely don't want to reveal the whole map at the beginning normally, because then I can't tell which rooms I've been to. And if you could put multiple pins in the map, then I would just pin every room at the beginning and then take them off as we go. But you can only pin one room at a time, and you can put in one pin at a time. And so, yeah, that's not going to help. So we won't be doing reveal very often, and I'll just use it when I feel like I'm missing something in a base, right? Yeah, something like a lab, we probably won't need it, but in those cave networks and Oren Bega and stuff, it's probably very useful. You guys can hopefully see the difference now. The white cons, this is super easy. Not challenging. Not enough. Oh, you need to go down first because you'll res people. And he already did res somebody, right? Yeah, those geneticists are a pain in the neck, because they will wake up the guys you already defeated, much like the Vajalok lieutenants. The mortificators will wake up the defeated cadavers. I believe this is another room that was not original to the lab maps and was added later. We talked about that at one point a few episodes ago, and then I actually kind of forgot about it. But yeah, I think that's one of the newer ones that I don't remember being in the original game when it first launched. Okay, take sprint off before we waste endurance. All right, so these are white cons. There's really no point to fighting these guys, so we're just gonna let's just stalk the mission at this point. We're looking for 2 devices and a program. I have not yet heard any glowies. Okay, well, I thought they were yellow. I was going to say yellow cons are kind of worth fighting, but these guys are all whites. They're not worth fighting. It's just a waste of time. Again, these doors, not original to the game. This room was, I believe. Okay, yellows, we'll fight them. See the difference, by the way? The white cons are 300 XP, the yellow cons are 400, it looks like. So anyway, this reveal comes to you courtesy of one of my audience members, and so thanks for the comments. I always like getting them. I like having a nice interactive audience. We don't have a big subscriber base, and not that many people watch. It's only a few dozen per episode, but the quality of the comments, the quantity is small, but the quantity is high, and I always prefer quantity over quality. Or sorry, quality over quantity. No, I don't want quantity. Other people want quantity. I don't need 500 likes and 3,000 comments. I'd rather have 5 likes and 2 good comments. Much more worthwhile to me. Quality is better than quantity. Okay, we have an orange lieutenant. That looks good. Not that these guys are much of a challenge, because you can pretty much one-shot them. But they give pretty good XP. But you definitely see why we want this set at least on +1. Whoops, I overshot that. Research assistant. You know, I've had research assistants. None of my research assistants wear cool outfits like this. But they also don't have rifles and shoot people. Yeah, these guys are called research assistants, but they're really just thugs. Because Cray is really just a criminal, like an organized crime organization, pretending to be a commercial corporation. Anybody down here? Doesn't look like it. Still haven't found any glowies, interestingly enough. Yeah, these lab maps, I do believe that I have mentioned this several times before in other playthroughs, but I remember I was like 18th or 19th level. I don't remember who I was fighting, and it was on one of these lab maps, and I had never seen one before, and I didn't think any of my other friends had ever seen one before, and I got in the map, and I like walked out, and I immediately went onto my supergroup chat and said, hey guys, I just found a really cool map I've never seen before, and I described it to them, and none of them had seen it either, and so they all joined to the group to come see the map, like to come see the assets, because they had not seen it before, and everybody was really excited, because up until that point, we'd seen warehouses, right? We'd seen sewers, tons of sewers, like ad nauseum, with Vajalox and stuff, right? We'd seen caves, but not Orenbega, because I don't think they'd made that one yet, those maps yet. We'd seen the office and the ruined office, but we had never seen the lab. And we were all like super excited. Hey, this is a cool new map type. We figured by the time we were 15th level, 16th level, and we'd seen office, ruined office, um, cave, sewer, right? We figured we'd seen warehouse, ruined warehouse, right? We figured we'd seen all of the different asset types, and all of a sudden, there was a new one that we hadn't seen before. And what we got excited was, first of all, it's a new asset and it looks cool, right? These are really cool assets, and it really looks very sort of futuristic and comic booky, right? But also, we realized, oh, there might be other assets we haven't seen before either. And so we got really excited about that. Now, it turns out there really weren't that many. There are a few. And of course, they added a bunch more assets when they did City of Villains. So they changed like the colors of some things, so the offices have a different coloring. And then they also have the white or silvery version of this lab that is a Portal Corp. But yeah, this was like, we had now all been playing COH for a month or something and had not seen any new maps in a while. And then all of a sudden, this thing, and we all were very excited about it. Shows you what nerds we all were. Oh, cool, new art assets for the video game. Where is... There it is. The last little glowy. Click. I don't know where Giacomo was, though. Where's Giacomo and his guards? I didn't notice him. Oh, here he is. Oh, another protector. He's got a medic, so we're going to want to take that guy out or he'll heal him. Try to hit him in the radius. There we go. Got him before it took effect. Nice. Okay, so don't placate, because that definitely seems to make them turn that on. So, probably everybody in this room we have to take out. I don't know about, might be everybody on this level. Hopefully not. Mostly just because they're white cons, and I'd rather go into a mission that's a little tougher. But yeah, this is how the game was scaled back in live. All your missions were like this. Mostly white cons. A few yellows. The occasional orange boss. And that was it. And I'm so glad they have difficulty settings now, because if it was like this, I don't know if I'd be playing City of Heroes, to be honest, because I'd be like, oh, it just gets too boring at the end. And that is the end of our corporate culture excursion. We will now probably get our final XP, which is probably going to finish this bead of experience. Yep, there it goes. And so she's done. No more story arcs from her. So we're going to need to get another story arc. But before we do that, it's time to go to Luminary and level up. And now I got to decide what I want to do with these slots. Fortunately, we get slots at level 33 and 34. So we have 6 slots coming. And let's see. See, select or rename your active build. Right, so you can have multiple different builds. Alright, so we get 3 slots. I definitely want build up to be sped up. I think I'm going to do build up, smite, and we're going to do energize. That's the more conservative approach. I'm sure that I want those. We have some enhancements that we can use too, so let's go to the base. We can sell the things we don't need to the nurse. We can stash our orange salvage. I think we have one, or maybe I stashed it. Do we have one? We still have one. We're up to 537 merits, so in like 2 more story arcs, we're going to have enough to get the first ATO, but we're not going to do it at the beginning. We don't need... Oh, reactive armor. Well, that's resist damage. We could probably build that. That might be of use. Either for this character or somebody else. Let's take a look at, actually, what does it do? So the way this works is at the top it tells you what it does in the enhancement. So it increases damage resistance by 13% and reduces recharge time by 22. So we're not going to need that because our only resistance power is a passive. So I'm probably going to not bother with that. But then it increases, if you go down to the set bonus, if you have 2 different reactive armor enhancements, they will increase lethal and smashing resistance by 1.5% and increase mes resistance. Then you get increase in negative energy and energy if you have 3 of them. If you have 4 of them, it gives you smashing and lethal defense, which is useful, and then area effect defense, and we don't have that, and then toxic and psionic resistance, and more mes defense. And so it can be useful. I wish you could put recipes in these tables because I don't see the need to make this for this character, but it would be useful to keep the recipe for another character, right? We have endurance reduction. How many do we need? 1? We just need 1. All right, so we will create 1 and we won't bother with the others. And then recharge reduction, we're definitely going to need those, so we'll create 1. And that will go on build up. We know we want that. Build up can now be used every 52 seconds. And then recharge endurance reduction, I think we just want to put that in Shadow Punch. So now Shadow Punch has an endurance reduction here. And I think we're good. We can sell the rest of the recipes. I don't need, like, I guess we don't need well, I'll keep the endurance reductions for now. Yeah, because we're probably going to need them on, like, Shadow Mall and stuff. So we'll sell these. And then we'll keep the other ones for now. If we get a bunch more, we can sell them. And, I want to put the orange salvage away. We're at almost 50 orange salvage, which is not too bad for one character. Why am I getting stuck? There we go. For one character to have access to. This will be the 50th. Boop. And we have 537 reward merits. We're only at 28 minutes, so I guess we can do one more mission. It won't be a story arc mission, but we can do one more. Let's go take a look. We've got Jenny Firkins and Peter Stemets. Let's go to Pete. I think this is Richter. I might be wrong about that. I love this area of Founders Falls, Williams Square. It's really pretty. I've often said, I mean, these are all apartment buildings, it looks like, not businesses. That's like an office building, but these all look like apartment buildings. I've often said I wouldn't mind living in Williams Square. I think it's really pretty here. But, you know, Silver Phoenix, my main character, who's a college student, probably can't afford that. All right, Stemets, what do you got for us? Stop the university students from performing the circle's rituals. Oh, boy. All right, so we're going to be dealing with the Circle of Thorns, and we're going to be on train. One of the things you used to have to watch out really a lot for, and I think they're around but not as much in Founders Falls, was snipers. The Cray used to have these nasty, and the Nemesis used to have these nasty snipers up on the rooftops in the buildings in Founders Falls, and they could shoot you from halfway across the zone and do a lot of damage. People early on during launch used to get absolutely smacked by these guys. And this is defeat all villains. Oh my gosh. On an outdoor map, guys. Are you kidding me? Well, at least we've got our Assassin Strike, so that should help. Anyway, the snipers would hit you, and people are like, say, teleporting or super jumping. The sniper would hit them while they're in the air. They would collapse to the ground, right? And then they might get aggroed by other villains that are nearby or what have you. It was super frustrating. And here's a student to rescue. And I remember, so my character being super reflex was very hard for the snipers to hit, right? Because she had good defenses. Before they nerfed the defense, she had even better defense. And I remember, just as a service to the other players, going into Founders Falls in the morning, like before I went to work early morning, going into Founders Falls and just going through the rooftops and just taking out the snipers. And I didn't really say anything or whatever, but then there was this like zone-wide chat that people were on, and the somebody got on the chat and was like, "Wow, I'm in Founders Falls and I haven't been sniped once yet today." And I said, "Oh, I said that's probably me. I'm just sort of super jumping around hunting snipers and taking them out." And she was like, "Oh, thank you." All right, let's take this guy out first. No, we're not. We're gonna take these guys out because my build-up's not ready yet. That guy might aggro to me, but did he? No, he didn't see me. Clue found. This guy looks... Oh, the ghost. So they're doing some kind of ritual having to do with ghosts. Okay. The behemoths are really cool looking, by the way. I remember the first time I encountered them going like, what is that? And the behemoth overlords are awesome. So, there are still ghosts, but some of them are being replaced by these Firethorn casters. There's a ghost. You want to debuff me? Two can play at that game, buddy. Come on. There we go. Pain in the neck. Yeah, one of my other listeners or viewers mentioned the spawns they hate, and these guys were listed. The Spectral Demon Lords. Or, well, really, the person just said Circle of Thorns, but I assume they didn't mean guides. Guides don't do anything to you, right? It's the Spectral Demon Lords that are a pain. Well, we skipped our way through the last mission because it was all white cons, so I think it's probably good that we have a large defeat all mission. It kind of makes up for it. These guys have the ability to turn on invincibility, and they've got the old school version, which if even one person is standing next to you, it gives you like plus 15 or something defense. It's like plus 7.5 on its own, and then plus 15, like plus another 7.5 for every additional person who's standing beside you. Is there another? Oh, I thought there was a student here, but no. I see one over there. That takes care of that one. Yeah, these guys, I have really nice fire defense. So they're not really that much of a danger. And you saw he wasn't hitting me a lot. I was going to say, didn't I see a student over here? Yep. It is so nice one-shotting the annoying ghosts. Okay. 2 students left. Almost went too far there. Yeah, I was just running and it slid me over that rock. I really am enjoying this character, I have to say. I like the visuals of her powers. I like how the powers feel when you're playing the character. I hit the wrong button there. I like the way the defenses work, just in general. I think this has been a really fun character to play. And I love hitting 3 guys at once with Shadow Maul. That is absolutely the best. I love that power. You know, before I did Quintessence last, I had always loved Shadow Maul, but never played a dark melee character, and now I played 2. And I don't regret it. It is a great power set. And Energy Aura is also really good. I really like it. I love that you can steal endurance from people. That's really fun. And I like that it has a self-heal and everything, but it's mostly defense-based rather than resistance. That's always been my preference. I know it's not the conventional wisdom, guys. I know that most people argue that resistance is better than defense, right? In the old days, if you look at down here in the chat, people used to always write that, or maybe that, and I often saw people writing it this way. Greater, greater, greater than, right? Just like that. I've never agreed with it. I've always preferred defense. I always used to say you don't need resistance if you don't get hit. Now, the reason people didn't like defense as a primary means or even exclusive means of protection is because defense is very swingy, right? If you're relying on not getting hit, but you take full damage when you do get hit, then you have the problem that if you get unlucky a couple of times in a row, where they hit you 3 or 4 times, right? They only have a 25% chance to hit, but they roll a 20 and a 19 and a 7, right? And so you get hit 3 times, you have no protection, and you take all that damage, and you get your hit points bar swings violently, right? Or it could. With resistance, you're going to get hit all the time with a resistance-based set, but you're always taking like 25% of the damage or 30% of the damage or whatever. And so instead of your hit point bar with a defense person, it's full of the quarter, right? And then slowly creeping up, and then boom, orange, red, right? With resistance, it's slowly chewing down little by little in a very gradual and predictable process. So a lot of people felt like resistance was more predictable and less swingy, less prone to suddenly, and you've actually seen it the one time with my character, right? All of a sudden you're face planted, and you may not even know why, right? And it's just because you got unlucky a couple of times. Happened to Silver Phoenix, right? Her first death in the 30s, right around the same time, same level as this character died, was to a couple of Cray lieutenants who both did a martial kick, a crane kick to her at the same time. And both of them hit. And they both had like less than a 30% chance to hit, but they both hit simultaneously. And it just took me out in like those 2 combined shots. My hit point bar was way up here, and all of a sudden it was gone. Right? There was no time to see that it's starting to go down and do something about it, because it just went from nearly full to done. Right? But that's because I was fighting 2 orange lieutenants. They hit me at exactly the same time. If instead of having, say, 30 or 40% defense, I had 40% resistance, then my hit point bar would have gone from here to here and to here, and I would have had a chance to maybe recover from that. Right? So that's why people used to say resistance is greater than defense, right? Better than defense. And if all you're talking about is just raw damage, that might be kind of true. But the thing is, you're not just talking about raw damage. You're also talking about secondary effects. So you're fighting one of these debuffing villains or one of these ice demons or something like that. And if it hits you, yes, you resist its damage, but whatever secondary effect it has, if it slows, you're slowed. If it debuffs your to-hit, your to-hit is debuffed. You could have 99% resistance and you're still whiffing because you're debuffed and taking twice as long to recharge. Right? So, and I'm going to stay here and wait for this to come back up because I want to take this Demon Lord out faster. So the advantage of a defense set is it might be taking all the damage, but when you're missed by the secondary effect too. And I actually noticed this playing my regen Stalker on Rebirth, Tiger Shrike, that I had been used to playing Silver Phoenix and not having to deal with the secondary effects, and all of a sudden playing Tiger Strike, I was dealing with all these secondary effects. And when I stopped to think about why am I realized, oh, it's because a regeneration scrapper is not, or Stalker, isn't avoiding any of the damage. Most of the set is about recovering hit points faster, and whatever else there is in the set is mostly, other than Moment of Glory, it's mostly resistance. Now, Moment of Glory is also resistance, but it's defense, right? So you can't hit them, and when you do very little damage. But that's their panic power, right? That's the equivalent of this thing. And it's not the rest of their power set, right? The rest of their power set's not like that. So I always preferred defense. Yes, it's swingy, but I like not having to contend with those secondary effects. Also, if there are mezzes, if you get hit with a bunch of mezzes, we have an 8, right? Each mezz has a magnitude on it. Most of them are 1, 2, or 3. So if I get hit with 3 3s, I'm overwhelmed, right? But because I have this 30% defense, which is reducing the 60% to hit or whatever of a +1 mob down to 30, if they throw 3 messes on me, I'm only going to get hit with 1. But if I'm a resistance-based character and they throw 3 mezzes on me, they might hit with all 3, and that might overwhelm my mezz defense, right? So that's why I prefer to have defense. I like defense better than resistance. That's just my preference, but that's why. And I don't agree that resistance is, as they used to say, strictly better than defense. I don't agree with that. Because it's better in some ways, in the sense that, you know, it's not as swingy and everything. But it's worse in other ways, like it doesn't help you at all to avoid mezz and secondary effects. And those are actually a big, those are an important part of the game. Now this guy is annoying because we have to defeat him because it's a defeat all. I can't just let him run away. Okay. If it wasn't a defeat all, I would just let him run away. I don't care. But because we have to defeat everybody, we can't let these guys escape because then we got to find them. You know what it would be nice to do if they did? You see how underneath my character you have all the buffs and debuffs? It would be kind of nice if they had that like right here or underneath the name of the villain too. So I could see like, and if each time I hit him, I'm putting a debuff on him, you see like these little dark debuff symbols coming across, and it would give me a sense of how well I'm doing at debuffing the guy. Yeah, this is one of these maps I'm going to have to crawl all the way through to make sure I've got everybody. Yeah, patrols. Super annoying on these kinds of maps because you can't know where they might have been that you didn't notice, right? Okay, so now we know the last student. Is the last student over here? Yeah, sadly, in a body bag. Okay, so now we just have to defeat everybody. I don't know where everybody is, though. So let's get up here and see from here if we can tab target a little bit. I mean, we started over here. There shouldn't be... There we go. Okay. At some point, we'll hopefully get enough of them defeated that we'll see the red triangles. It shouldn't be too long because I feel like I've taken out most of the guys on here. And there are the red triangles. Right over there. Oh, of course they're inside. Way deep inside. Now I have to find them. There we go. Alright, well, we're going to eat up the Assassin Strike on this guy. But then we'll do build up and then hit this guy with normal attacks. And then finish him with the secondary Assassin Strike, the one that's not done from a hidden position. Come on. And that's the mission, guys. So I think we'll stop here. I hope you guys have enjoyed. We're level 33, heading for 34, and 3 more slots. You can see that once you get into the 30s, you start getting a little more of a hang of the, enhancement slots. We should be able to finish Smite, maybe finish Build Up, and probably throw another slot in there to put some healing on Energize, and then we'll be in really good shape with a lot of these slots. So I'm pretty happy with this character. I'm happy with the way things are going. I hope you guys are too. Until next time, I am Scrapperlock. This has been City of Heroes, soloing the Stalker.